Our first speaker today was Sam Pringle, and actually he was giving his number 3 speech, which is get to the point. And in this speech, the speaker is to prepare a speech that has a clear general purpose and a specific purpose. The speech is to be organized in a manner that best achieves these purposes. The beginning, body, and conclusion should all tie into and reinforce the purposes. Those are the major goals of the speech. So I wrote down on my sheet here a general purpose, and I would fill it in, and then specific purpose. And that was pretty easy to do because Sammy had that pretty well lined out. The general purpose was to inform. He was trying to inform us of a certain aspect of life, if you will. And the specific purpose was how we can save money. Right? This title said was everyday tips to save money. So that was his specific purpose. So he certainly met the requirements of the speech in that regard. As far as an opening, body, and conclusion, I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these. The opening, I think, probably could have used a little bit more to bring us into the body. And the reason is you had so many points in the body. I don't know that we were ready for them. I was ready for 3 or 4 points, and by the time we got to the 12th or 13th, I wasn't quite sure, well, how many more does he have? And so I have a couple of suggestions that may help you with that. First of all, in your opening, you can say something like, today I'm going to give you 23 suggestions how you can save money. So that braces us. We know we're going to have to listen to a lot of things and not just get 3 and quit when we've heard 5. And the second thing that will do is give you a chance to say at the conclusion, or say, we'll go into each of these, and then at the end I'll summarize how you can save money. So you've tied the whole thing together. We know you're going to get an opening, body, and conclusion. Now generally, in most speeches, a body speech, you would have 3 major points. This particular talk didn't lend itself to just 3 points. So you could have grouped them though. You could have said, for example, you talked about eating, you talked about travel, and you talked about entertainment. You could say, I'm going to cover 3 areas where you can save money. Eating, travel, and entertainment. And so right there, we focus. People tend to think in 3s for whatever reason. And we would remember that. And then when you gave your 7 points under eating, we didn't need to remember all of them, but we remember maybe 1 or 2 of them and say, you know, I remember Sammy last week, he said if I went to lunch instead of dinner, I'd save money. And because you associated with eating and they associated with eating, they're more likely to remember it than if it was one of the list of 23 items. So that would be the way to do that, is to say, okay, now after eating, another way you can save money is travel. Go to kayak.com, which I go to all the time, by the way. I love kayak.com. And then entertainment. So that's the way, when you have a long list of things like that, try to group them into groups that we can more readily remember. But it was all good information, and one thing you might want to consider doing, if you're giving out websites, either have a handout or put it on a board, or the screen. The screen you couldn't use because Tanya would pretty much come and do the screen for the day. But you could have put it on a board, for example, with a dry marking pen, and we could all copy it down. And in the end, you concluded that it was basically a good summary. But again, because you had such a long list, it might have been better if you said, today we talked about 3 areas where you can save money: eating, travel, and entertainment. If you listen, if you take my advice and pay attention to the things I said, you too can save money. So that, I think, would help the effectiveness. I think you were perhaps still a little nervous up here, but you get better. And you've come a long way since you first joined the club. That's really great to see you, Plaza. So that's a good job with that. One thing, didn't George Washington throw the dollar across the Delaware? Or was it the Potomac? Was it the Potomac? I guess he sailed across the Okay, you got that one right. Okay. Both of them are pretty wide rivers. So anyway, you definitely fulfill the requirements of the number 3 speech, to get to the point, and to have a general and specific purpose. So thank you for all that great information, and we look forward to your next speech. Thank you.